The mantra these days for treating rheumatoid arthritis is aggressive early treatment. Go back 20 years and you had your anti-inflammatory, and if that didn't work a few weeks later, we might give you a double dose or change the anti-inflammatory if that didn't work, etc. And you might eventually get steroids or an injection or whatever. These days, if you come to the clinic, you'll leave with a prescription for a high-dose steroid, a strong painkiller, an anti-inflammatory at least, if not also a list of disease-modifying medications that I want you to think about in the next week or two, and I want you to talk to your GP about starting at least one of these in the next week or two. And that's all going to start it. The other initial medications are going to start the first day. The other medications are going to be started within a week. So you'll be on 4 new tablets at least. Deciding that you have an inflammatory arthritis makes it necessary to start the disease-modifying medications. Once you've made the decision that the patient has rheumatoid or an inflammatory type arthritis, they will be getting disease-modifying medications, and there's no indication whatsoever to delay starting those things. So they really should be starting that within a week of diagnosis. So they'll be on their prednisolone 30, their high-dose painkiller, their high-dose anti-inflammatory, and their methotrexate within a week or two. We're always going to try to start disease-modifying medications as quickly as possible, and I'm talking within a week or two of the diagnosis. Once you've made the diagnosis that the patient has rheumatoid arthritis, once you've made that decision, you're going to use disease-modifying medications, and you're going to use the most aggressive medications you can, which is basically at least methotrexate, if not also combination therapies, up to 3 disease-modifying medications at the same time. The patient will be given the information on all these medications, including the steroids, anti-inflammatories, and the disease-modifying medications, and they'll be sent away with a list of preferences to go discuss it with their GP to start the tablet within a week or two. So it's very important to get on the treatment as quickly as possible. Physiotherapy is part of the deal, there's no doubt about that. It's very important to remember the patients may have been stiff for longer than 4 or 6 weeks, whatever. They may have lost their fitness, they may have lost their confidence in sport or mobility, all these, every degree of mobility problems we've seen. It's very important that they get to see a physiotherapist to regain and maintain and improve their range of movement, be it a shoulder, a knee, a hip, whatever. Occupational therapy is equally important, perhaps not early on in a patient's treatment, but certainly any patient who's losing hand function should be seen by a hand occupational therapist. Now, there are a lot of physios in the world, there's a lot of occupational therapists in the world, but there are not a lot of hand occupational therapist experts in the world, unfortunately, and the access is poor, and it's important to try to find out where your local hand OT is, but I would recommend referring as soon as possible if somebody is developing a problem. Almost every patient asks about diet. The latest theory, this week's theory was red fruits and red vegetables. That's what a patient told me last week, was stay away from red things. It's all nonsense, basically. It's all the patients seem to have the idea that acid from the fruits and veg or whatever it is somehow miraculously finds its way unchanged specifically into their joints in some magical world, but that's not the way it is. We've known from the 50s that fresh fruit and veg for some reason have a positive effect on arthritis, and that still is the case. We'll always advocate good healthy diet, fresh fruit and veg, and that's fine. There's some role for omega-3 in inflammatory disease generally. There's some role for vitamin D, less defined. There's some role for uric acid in gout is very important, and that is another type of inflammatory arthritis that is diet is key. But in rheumatoid arthritis, basically the main rules are don't put on weight, keep active, and whatever your diet requires to watch the weight, and things like keeping cholesterol down, they're the main factors for rheumatoid diet. Remember as well that the steroids are going to tend to increase your cholesterol, so you've got a double whammy there. So it's very important to keep an eye on that ball as well.